Evening, Reds, boys and girls all around the world. Welcome back to All Three United. We've just been France, Germany. France looked absolutely wow. They were pretty good. Germany pretty woeful. Going to get everyone's thoughts on that very quickly. Joined by some great guests tonight. James, Hammer, good to see you back, buddy. Carl, haven't seen you for a little while. Thanks for joining, bro. Stu, and of course, King. We haven't seen him on here for a little bit as well. I hope you're all doing well. James, talk to me just very quickly. France, obviously, one of the ones to watch, I think. Obviously, we said, I think a load of people thought it was before the game tonight, but I think they proved that, right?
Yeah. Obviously, they made Germany look like a pretty normal team, and I thought Germany actually played really well. They were just unlucky with the lack of sort of creativity they had in advanced roles. I thought all their creativity was coming from deep in Kroos and in Gundogan, and they didn't. With Havertz playing as a striker, they were just missing out on that little bit around the penalty area. But yeah, France, I think they schooled them really, didn't they? They never really looked out of place defensively, other than when you got flying KO kicks that knocks out the right back. But that's the only time they really looked in any danger. But yeah, Pogba played out his skin. Obviously, next to Kante, he's a lot more comfortable, which you're going to be, aren't you? So, and then you've got Mbappe on the counter attack. Mix that in with the class and style of Griezmann and Benzema. It's quite a frightening prospect. We're going to have to hope for some sort of monumental balls up from France if anyone else really wants to win this trophy. Because we saw again today, Portugal, the other sort of outright favourite, didn't look anywhere near the levels that France are looking. So, it already looks like it's their competition to lose.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, they have got an incredible starting 11, quite honestly, and even the bench. I think the only other team really that's looked pretty good, Italy. I think you're right about Portugal. Weren't brilliant today. Obviously, got a 3-0 win. And I think that group has pretty much taken shape now. All depends obviously on the next two results. Hammer, great to see you back on, mate. It's been a little while. I know you've been very busy, moving house, moving jobs. But it's good to see you back on, buddy. Did you get a glimpse of the game at all?
Yeah, I was watching, man. I'm off today, so I was definitely able to catch the games today. I think France, I know, actually, to be honest, me and my friend were talking before the game, and we both saw the lineups come out. And I really looked at France to kind of go after that defense because I just felt like, they really didn't have any pace in the back line. So I was honestly expecting a little bit of a more, I guess, goal-scoring game from France. But I think, even though they didn't look amazing, for not looking amazing, they still look pretty good. And I think Pogba really played out of his mind tonight. And I saw a lot of people commenting about not getting that at United. And I think, there's a few different points on why we don't get that at United. But talent-wise, I know he's not consistent at United, but he's at talent-wise, probably post-Alex is one of the most talented, pure footballers, talented-wise, that we've had at United. And
I'm pleased you brought up Paul. He was pretty good tonight, the best player on the pitch, pretty much a vital part in every French attack. Unfortunate not to win 3-0 really, but Paul was excellent. Yeah. I think obviously really obviously helped a huge amount by N'Golo Kante. And we've all spoken about these, sound like a broken record. You get a DM to play in that double pivot with him, which allows him to go forward. And this is the Paul that we all want to see. And we saw glimpses of that this season. Hey, Carl, Paul Pogba, talk to me about, how he played tonight. Obviously being a massive instrumental player for them. And more we want to see from him, obviously, going into next season. Do you think he stays? Do you want him to stay? What are your thoughts?
I didn't watch the game tonight. But no, Paul Pogba's obviously it's the same conversation. We've been having the same conversation for about 3 years now, haven't we, about Paul Pogba and about why he doesn't do it in a United shirt and why he's so much better for France and why this and why that. But no, listen, obviously it helps. Like you'll reiterate what you guys just said about obviously Kante playing in there. It's a lot better when you've got someone that can do the job properly, and when you've got obviously McFred just aren't good enough. As a one, we just haven't got the players in the midfield to play the single pivot to unlock sort of Paul Pogba. So yeah, it's regard. I think you get a better Paul Pogba if we sign a decent CDM. If we don't sign a decent CDM, then we're going to be stuck with the same old same old conversations and the same old problems that we've been facing for a long time. But he is well better than at playing for France than he is playing with us. So yeah, it's just that player in it to unlock him.
Yeah, he was sensational. Another player that's obviously one to watch. We all know about him. 22 years of age, potentially a Ballon d'Or winner, Kylian Mbappe. Absolutely sensational tonight. I felt he's just absolutely lightning, and he's got it all. Not a number 9 that you'd like to see, obviously, at United, Stu. We've had this conversation, but talk to me about Kylian and how exciting he is to watch.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with him tonight. I'll just quickly talk about Germany because I was mightily disappointed in their play. I thought their final ball in the final third was dismal at best. Yogi Low playing Kimmich out on the right wing back. I don't quite understand that. It'd have been better suited in the middle. And then when you're bringing on Sane and you're bringing on Werner, who have had woeful seasons, it just goes to show the state of, how Germany are playing. I thought Toni Kroos, the old crooner, was probably one of their best players. And Hummels, I know Hummels got a lot of stick, but really it's not his positional sense. I thought he was excellent positionally wise. I just thought pace wise he was always going to struggle. As for Mbappe, the funny thing about tonight's game, I thought France never got out of first gear. That's the frightening thing for me. And Mbappe, I think if the game was a bit tighter, and I think if the game was had a bit more meaning, I think you probably would have seen a bit more out of Mbappe. He got through a couple of times. Again, his decision making wasn't the best tonight. I thought Griezmann was quite cute on occasions, but the one for me really showed Mbappe because he's that quick. Their second goal that was disallowed for Benzema, he was just too quick for them. He's too quick for Pogba as well, actually. Although Pogba's first touch wasn't great and he could have played it a second earlier, he was just too quick. So I think he's got loads to improve on Mbappe, which sounds strange because, like you say, he's 22 years old and he's pretty much got the world at his feet. But pace will get you so far. Michael Owen proved that. And they didn't look after his hammers. Pace will get you so far. I think he needs to up his overall game. But yeah, who wouldn't want him? Who wouldn't want him? So
yeah, I mean, he's got a choice of clubs in this. Whenever he moves next, he's probably not.
He'll never be sold, Mark. He'll never be sold. It's too much money. I mean, PSG are going to want to recoup something like 250 mil. He'll never be sold. It's the same with Neymar. That's why he signed his contract. He will never be sold. Because the money that's involved in it is just, he'll have to go on a free.
Yeah, what is it? He's only got a year left, hasn't he?
But he'll get offered. I don't know. What did they offer Neymar? 500 grand a week, wasn't it? Something stupid like that.
Yeah, he's on 22. I think it's a bit more than that, isn't it? Right, I'm going to move on to quickly N'Golo, and then we'll move on to United topics. Keane, how you doing, mate? It's been a little while since you had you on. Great to see your face again. N'Golo Kante, is it? I feel like I've been proven wrong a little bit. In the last couple of years, I felt like N'Golo was kind of on a bit of a dip, and I said that I felt that United probably shouldn't look at him. But I think, he seemed to have really sort of come through again with Thomas Tuchel, and brilliant every time he plays for France. Would you be looking at him potentially for a potential signing for the defensive midfielder? We've spoken about this so many times, and just his overall performance really for the French team.
Yeah, look, N'Golo Kante is an absolute engine. Like, he's a fantastic footballer. He makes everyone around him that bit better. I think the big example of that is when he played in that Leicester midfield in 2016. He made Danny Drinkwater look like a world beater, and Chelsea signed him for 40 million. But I think you look at it, you have to say, I think Kante would be a bit out of our reach in terms of going and getting him. I think Chelsea would demand a massive fee. He's an integral part of Tuchel's system. But you definitely need to get a defensive midfielder who can definitely cover the ground and is comfortable taking the ball. But I think, a big problem last season was McTominay and Fred, taking the ball from the back four and losing it quickly in transition, and we'd concede goals. So for me, you get a defensive midfielder in. I think Kante is probably a bit unrealistic at this point, but maybe, look abroad, because I think Declan Rice were going to be priced out that deal, 100 million. It's a ridiculous price to pay for him. So you look at maybe an Ndidi. Can you get him? Probably not. Then you're probably looking down the barrel. You're probably looking at maybe Zakaria, from Borussia Mönchengladbach, or someone of that ilk to maybe come in and do the job. But the only problem is, can Ollie really be getting players who would have to adjust to the league when he's going to be probably under so much pressure next season? So time's going to tell, but most definitely what the big point here is, we need a defensive midfielder and we need one pronto.
Yeah, absolutely right. All right, we're going to move on to United transfer stuff today. It's been a bit quiet the last few days. And obviously most of the talk has been about Jadon Sancho. I'm not going to talk about him so much tonight. But obviously I think Fabrizio Romano come out in the last couple of days or last day and stated that Tom Heaton is going to sign a contract till 2023. And Keane's really happy about that by the looks of it, with potentially another year on top of that. James, obviously we lost Romero and Joel Pereira recently. Joel never really sort of broke through. What do you think it means for the team with Tom coming in? Obviously, we've got David De Gea, talks about him going. Jordan Henderson, Christ, I'm going to get ridiculed for that. Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson obviously left the England camp today with an injury. But what do you think about that with regards to Tom Heaton? Do you think that's a good move?
I think that's our marquee signing for the summer, isn't it? I don't know what everyone's so miserable about. I think this is the most exciting signing we've made in years. He's going to revolutionise that goalkeeping spot for us with his one appearance in 3 years. I think that is just credit to his ability, and I can't wait to see him get started. But no, I think the way that Romero's been treated, and to then replace him with someone like Tom Heaton is it's one of the things that I'm sort of I've gone against Ollie with. I'm a massive Ollie fan, but his treatment of players can be fantastic, but it can also be horrible. And you just see what's happened to Romero this year, and as prime example, it's it's probably the best backup goalkeeper in the world to then just be completely ostracised and replaced by a 35-year-old bloke who's going to he's going to be back up to Lee Grant, isn't he, really? So Lee Grant can't even make it off the bench to put up the fourth officials board when he's told to. So we've not really got much hope. Just hope that whoever stays out of David De Gea and Dean Henderson doesn't get seriously injured. Otherwise, we're going to be relying on a partnership of Maguire and Lindelof to keep us clean sheets instead of the goalkeeper, and that's not going to be too enjoyable. So yeah, I think really exciting, and I can't wait for the new season with Heaton in goal.
I hope he's not the big signing of the summer, mate, but I like your humour. Great points there. I mean, Romero, very disappointed with United. I think we've seen that a few times over the last few years, at least, without Ferguson. Really poor on their part, with how they treated him. And you're absolutely right. I feel like he was probably the best backup. I mean, he didn't really set a foot wrong. I think everyone was a little bit concerned about how he was going to, him coming in, it's sort of his aerial ability, but he was absolutely fantastic every game he played, and really, really poor by United on that, and disappointed to see him go under those circumstances. Hammer, with regards to Tom Heaton, do you think it's the answer with Romero going, or would you prefer to see someone else? Do you think we need to get another one in, seeing two keepers going as well, or not?
Well, I mean, I don't know about the answer, right? I mean, like you said, Romero for a long time, I remember, I'm pretty sure I've tweeted it myself, and I see a lot of people have tweeted it in the past, that he's the best backup goalkeeper in the world, and he was like that for a while. So you're not really going to get another Romero in terms of a number two, and as much as being able to count on him, whether he plays consistently in terms of amount of games or not. But with Heaton, to me, it just solidified that one of the two guys we have right now are leaving, and it's probably De Gea. That's all it really is for me. I'm not looking too much into it. I'm worried about who we're signing and hoping that James's joke isn't true.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too. Carl, good to see you back on, as I said earlier. But you're doing more with that United family, is that right?
No.
I thought you were bringing it back.
Nah, I've changed it. I've rebranded it.
Okay.
So,
do you want to give us any more information on that or not?
Oh, yeah, I can do, yeah. So, basically, yeah, I've changed it. So, obviously, Emma's not involved anymore, which some people will be bitterly disappointed about, and then fucking just seeing my fat head on it every week might put some people off. But no, we're going to do
beautiful Ed. Beautiful Ed. Don't be silly.
Big fat head. No. So basically, I've rebranded it. It's called The Lock-In now, and it's going to be a weekly podcast, hopefully, or two, depending on guests. I've already got a few guests coming on. I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's going to start after the Euro. Videos will be back after the Euros. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation, not an ideal time to launch a channel when people are watching the football 24/7. Do you know what I mean? But I've got a few guests confirmed. One's a Sky Sports presenter, so that'll be a nice one. We've got a good big thing. I've got co-host as well, which I will leave as a surprise, I guess. But I will try and pump out a video in the next couple of weeks. I've got to buy a new mic, so I'm going to do like an introductory video just on myself, basically telling everyone what the crack is. But yeah, it's going to be a podcast channel. So trying a little bit fun, a little bit serious, a bit more in depth. Try and keep it not solely all about football, and just have it sort of that someone could listen to, whether you like United or football, and just trying to broaden my horizons, really. So that's what we're going with. Because I quite fancy myself as a little bit of an interviewer. So is that what they're called, interviewer? Yeah, one of them ask questions. So yeah, that's what we're doing, mate. So you could have warned me about that. I would have thought about.
Sorry, mate. I just thought I'd ask you about it because I saw a little tweet the other day. So I just thought I'd ask you. Listen,
the podcast,
good to see you back, buddy. It's been a while, and good to see you back, mate. Jadon Sancho, I'm going to move on to him quickly. Obviously, it seems to be doing the rounds a little bit in the last couple of days. No one's really sure whether he's Arthur or Martha, whether he's going to be in a United shirt. What's your view on it? Do you think he will be a United player before the next game, or do you think it's going to be a little bit longer than that?
I don't know. It's just like it feels a bit more closer than it did last year. I think obviously again we're at the agreed personal terms stages or whatever, and we're trying to like sort of bargain the price down again as per Manchester United. But no, I reckon it will be done. Whether it's going to be done like this week, next week, before the season, before the pre-season, I don't know. As long as it is done, it's just like just quickly bobbing back to the Tom Heaton thing. Like just the whole transfer window, the whole summer already has shades of that Mourinho season when we finished second, and we obviously got Lee Grant in, and no real top signings. And it's like I just don't want that to happen. I want we need if we're gonna back him and we're gonna potentially give Ollie a new contract and stuff, we need to sort of sign top players, not so much players to improve the squad. We need players to improve the 11, the initial 11, because then you automatically improve your squad anyway. I know that might sound ridiculous, but if you improve that 11, if you sign players to go straight into the 11, then that obviously instantly gives you depth, and signing squad players isn't always sort of the way forward. So signing like Jadon Sancho, or the wife's there, shout out to the wife. And a CDM, a decent CDM to sort of take out Scott McTominay and Fred, and then there you automatically have a better team. But yeah, Sancho obviously feels a damn sight closer than it did last summer. Shout out to my little boy's bike, by the way, it's in the background. Hopefully he's here, mate. We need a right winger. It's one of them weak points where we've been struggling for a couple of years. Do you know, the right side of the field feels like the right back situation from years gone past. We're just trying to sort of shove people out there. Like Mason Greenwood don't want to be out there. Marcus Rashford don't want to be out there. And we sort of transformed Young and Valencia into right backs for all them years. So, yeah, no, we need him. And it feels a damn sight closer than it did last summer.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think everyone's probably in agreement too. I want him done and dusted in the next few days, really would be ideal. Fed up with all that talk now, to be honest with you. And as you say, we need that right-sided player. Stu, are you in agreement with that? Obviously, lots of talk. Not sure what's going to happen. Do you think it's going to be held until the last minute?
I'm kind of on the camp where it's done. I think it's a done deal. I think everything's been agreed. It's one of those where you won't get anything announced during the Euros, not of that magnitude of signing. United won't want that. That'll be done or kind of he'll be unveiled after the Euros, I would say. So I'm kind of on the impression that it's done. There's a couple of reasons for that. First and foremost is Manchester United as a club cannot avoid to screw this up again. If they fuck it up again, the fans are already teetering on the edge, as we know. With anarchy, it will just send everybody into a downright spiral of turmoil. So I just can't see United not getting over the line, and I think it's done. And I think there'll be an agreement between United and England that'll say you don't launch it during the Euros. I'd imagine Adidas. I don't know when we launch our kit. I can't remember what day it is, whether it falls within the Euros or not, or it might even depend when we get knocked out of the Euros, I suppose. But my belief,
I think it's very soon. Isn't it?
Well, what do you mean when we get knocked out? What's that all about?
Well,
hang on.
Coming home, mate. What are you on about?
Let's hope so. But yeah, so that's my thought process on it, and we shall see. With regards to Tom Heaton, I don't give a fuck really either way. It's a hole that's got to be filled. I just don't really care about it. So,
don't hold back, Stu, will you?
One thing that bothers me, though, if Henderson's come back with a hip injury, that's not good. I mean, if he's got a hairline fracture or he's got it badly bruised, which is what we do want. We want him to have it badly bruised, or it's slightly out of place. It'll be a long fucking journey back, that will. So they'll have to get him sorted and soon. But that nasty is a hip injury. Nasty.
It's a bit concerning, that is, isn't it? Obviously, I know we've spoken about Rashford, Lindelof, Maguire, all sort of played through injuries, really. And by all accounts, he's been sent home, wasn't sort of good with reactions in training due to that hip injury, and he could have had it for a couple of months. So that is
that's my thoughts on it. I think he's been carrying it for a while, and it could well have attributed to his downturn in form really towards the end of the season. So you don't just get a hip injury like that, But anyway, it's pivotal to a goalkeeper, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know what? That's testament to him, really. I mean, if he was for a couple of months struggling, I know we made a couple of mistakes here and there, but obviously, I think we're all in agreement. Improve the defense massively. I think it's testament to him that he's been relatively good up until the final day. So
we shall see on that.
Yeah, we will see. There were talks during the week, very sort of small ones. Keen about Sancho possibly not playing due to a medical, probably not the case, but there could be more to it than that. Do you think that's a possibility? Do you think Jadon's going to be done soon?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. I think, like Stuart said, it's probably going to be done after the Euros. Most likely, I'd say Southgate doesn't want any distractions within the camp. He's very strict in that way. Like, obviously, me being Irish, I wouldn't have as much knowledge on the England camp as what you guys would. But Southgate seems like that. He seems kind of rigid in that way. But the Sancho deadline is the 23rd of July, which is my birthday. So part of me, because I've been on this Sancho train for 18 months, part of me is like, announce it then. That'd be a great birthday present. The other part of me is like, come on, club, just be efficient and get it done. But I'd say it's a matter of when, not if. And I just want to see him get it done, because there's other key areas like defensive midfield and centre back that need to be addressed. We need to get our spine right. Like, we really need to get this spine right if we want to kick on next year. So get Sancho done as quick as you can. Agree the fees, add-ons, whatever the kind of stumbling block is, and then get the two most vital parts of the foundation done. And then we can kick on. And then maybe then we've seen the Trippier links and stuff like that. If that's a deal that can be done later on the window, do it. But you have to get the centre back and centre defensive midfield done ASAP. But man, just get Sancho done. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I hope it's over and done with, so we never have to talk about it again. Some talks this week, obviously, Kieran Trippier. We've already spoken about it on previous shows, so I'm not going to go into that. But there's also talks about Dalot going back to Milan. They're keen on taking him back. Impressed for them. Back on loan with the option to potentially buy at the end of the season. I would be disappointed with that, I think. I think rather than spending upwards of 35 million potentially, or 30 million on Trippier, I think that we could potentially have a ready-made right back there to challenge Aaron Wan-Bissaka, improve him. I think he's actually very good going forward. I think defensively not so good. But James, would you be disappointed to see Dalot go as well, or are you happy to see him move on?
Yeah, I think you've put it quite well there. I don't think he's ever going to be United's first choice right back, but if we're talking 30-40 million to get Trippier out of Atletico Madrid, then there's no point really. Dalot to me looks like a right winger playing right back. I don't think his defensive ability is not really there, but going forward, he's skillful. He's got a good ball in. He's obviously very quick as well. He knows what he's doing up front. We saw that at the under-21 Euros. He had a brilliant tournament, but yeah, I think I've lost my train of thought there. But yeah, I don't think his career should be over. I think there's definitely more important positions to get than a backup right back, especially when Diogo Dalot can play there. And I think we're only getting a backup right back to add some attacking input to our game, and that's what he specialises in. So, like I said, he's not the best right back in the world. He's definitely not going to be the best right back in the squad, but he's going to offer competition, which is important, and he's going to offer that little bit of something different going forward as well.
Yeah, totally agree. I think this will be an unfortunate one. You mentioned about him playing so well for the under-21s. He was brilliant, and he's been called up, obviously, with the injury to Cancelo for Portugal. And I think that probably says quite a lot, really. He was young when he was signed. He still is. And I don't feel like he's been given that opportunity with Ollie, really, or for United since Ollie's come in. Do you think it's been a bit unfortunate for him, Hammer? Do you think he could have done a bit more?
I guess if you want to say he wasn't given too many chances, right? He got a few early on, and I can't remember why. I don't know if it was injury-wise, whoever was there at the time, and things like that. And then when Wan-Bissaka came in, he wasn't going to get in, so now he's on loan. So I guess if you want to go that route, you can say he wasn't given much chance, but I'm kind of indifferent on that one too. It's not important, as I think Keane said it, right, in terms of that the spine, right? So whether it's Trippier, whether it's bringing back Dalot or sending him back out to loan, it doesn't really matter. I think just having some type of competition, especially going forward. And like James said too, Dalot's he had those nice little step overs that he always got to cross off with. So he's great going forward, but that defense of his is beyond suspect at times. So, I wouldn't be upset about him going back on loan and eventually getting sold, as long as we do get some type of competition for Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. Thank you for those. Carl, we've spoken about this a few times before. Diogo Dalot. And if I remember rightly, you're not a massive fan of him, are you?
Yeah, I love Dalot, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah, your research is shit, mate.
Bro, it's been a long time since we've spoken about it.
Who the fuck gave you a job on this channel?
You have to speak to Ben about that.
Joking. No, I'm a massive advocate of fullbacks, mate. I've got like a weird obsession with fullbacks. Love Shaw, love Wan-Bissaka, mate. Dalot's quality. Like you said, everyone said, I'm going to reiterate what people are saying, though, but like going forward, mate, he's class. And I think if you think back, he's a bit of a Mourinho sign, and I think Mourinho loves a fullback that can whip a ball in, and I think that's what Dalot is. And if you remember, well, you don't remember before because you clearly just stated that. So when he signed, I sort of said he reminds me a bit of a Gareth Bale sort of signing, where like you buy him as a young lad, you play him where he thinks he's been playing. Like you played for Porto, is it Porto? That he came from as a right back. You could probably get away with it defensively playing in the Portuguese league as a young lad, but coming to the Premier League, obviously playing for the biggest club in the world, you will get found out because you've got millions of more eyes on you. And I think if you seen it when we played, smaller teams like Tranmere, he's great at Tranmere, mate, because he just was allowed to move forward with the football. And I think he's more of a frustrated winger than he is probably a fullback moving forward. I think this is why he fits in so well with it in Italy, because you don't have to run that much. Do you know what I mean? I think that's why he's good at international level, and I think he's good in sort of different leagues where he doesn't have to sort of chase his footsteps back as often as he would do in the Premier League. But then I love Dalot, mate. I think it's a shame, really, because before we sort of signed Cavani, I think it'd do well now if we had Cavani up front. Because you got a bit of a target man to hit in the box. And I think when we signed him, obviously we had Lukaku. We wanted to try and pump the ball up to Lukaku, and I think that's why he was signed, because like I said before, his crossing ability, that the whip he's got on his crosses is Beckham-esque, mate. And most of the time it's bang on. So yeah, I think it's just one of them signings where just the wrong time, really, for him. You've seen it in years gone past where players move clubs, and then just something just doesn't work, whether the manager leaves or he doesn't get the right game time. Look at Telles, mate. I told you a lot about Alex Telles. Rubbish. He's another one. I'd rather get rid of him instead of fucking Delo, mate. But yeah, listen, I think it's just a wrong time, wrong club at the wrong Memphis Depay sort of job. This is wrong move at the wrong time. Things go against you. You go to other clubs, you light it up, and then your career sort of pans out from there. Look at Depay, mate, off to Barcelona.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, a comparison to Gareth Bale, you might need to do your research too, Sean.
Whoa, no. I never compared to the Gareth Bale. I just said it's more of a I think if you played him further forward in this Man United team, you'd probably see a different player, just as you did with Tottenham and Gareth Bale.
Yeah, no,
they didn't win a game, did they? Every time Gareth Bale played left back, they didn't win a game for something like 20 games or something mental. And then you push him further up forward, and he becomes a 3-time Champions League winner at Real Madrid.
He was a left back at Southampton, wasn't he? That's where he started.
Exactly. And he makes that step up. It didn't work out. They goes, hang on a minute, this guy can play. They pushed him further forward, and look at him now. Well, not so much now, but 5 years ago. I'm not saying Delo's anywhere near Gareth Bale's quality.
I was putting you in your leg, mate. I think you're right, though. I think if you were to see him a bit further forward, you would see him improve greatly. And I think that's kind of what AC Milan were trying to do, at least in that season. I think that's what Ollie's trying to do, actually. We've seen, obviously, Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka play a little bit further forward. Obviously, Aaron needs to improve that side of his game still. But yeah, I would be disappointed. I think I've been a bit hit and miss with him, but I think he's had a good season, and I think he could be exactly what that right-hand side is missing from a defensive point of view. Stu, do you agree with that, buddy?
Look, everybody on this panel knows my thoughts on right backs. A right back's a right back. I'm not into this attacking right back nonsense. I never, for me, your primary job as a right back is to defend and tackle. And that's why Wan-Bissaka is the best one-on-one in the world. What I like about Dalot, and I think Carl's right, he's a frustrated winger, but he then falls into the category of where do you actually play him? Because defensively, he gets caught wrong side every time. And my memory of him, he always he's no good in the air. I think he was beaten on many occasions by the diagonal over his head. So from that point of view, he can't be a right back, which means he can't be a wing back in our current side because, without a proper CDM, then our fullbacks do get exposed on occasions, as we all know. So for me, first and foremost, if you're going to play right back, you've got to defend, and he doesn't have those qualities. So where does he fit into our team then? Right now, he doesn't. Would I move him on? I'm in two minds, really. I would perhaps send him back on loan to Milan and see if he can develop his game there. But again, as the lads have said, different leagues demand different disciplines. And, Italy tend to play their fullbacks a third of the way up the right wing or the right side or the left side. So I think from that point of view, he probably just suit the Italian style, maybe the French style and the Portuguese style more than he would suit Manchester United. I think you're right. I think Ollie does want a more attacking right back, and I think that's where his interest in Trippier comes. But ultimately, first and foremost, without a shadow of a doubt, a right back is there to tackle, defend, stop the crosses, knock the winger into row Z, okay, and then wave at him as he's rolling over the boards. That's what a right back is there for.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I've said this for a long time, that it does start with how you defend, and then you can work on those attacking characteristics. As a child or as a kid, when you're playing football, everyone wants to bomb forward, don't they? So that's something that you can pick up a little bit better as time goes on.
Here's the funny thing though about Wan-Bissaka. He started his youth career with Crystal Palace as a winger.
He did, yeah.
Totally the opposite to Dalot and totally the opposite to Bale. Very strange.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's actually very underrated going forward, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and I think stats have not that I've got them now. Sorry, Carl, my research was shit. But I think that going forward, he's been very, very good and very underrated. Not given enough credit for that. Keane, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I know you're a massive fan of him. Would you rather, well, obviously he's going to be in the team regardless next year, but would you rather obviously have him with Trippier come in, or would you rather keep Dalot, or would you be happy with him going on loan still?
Well, look, I think with Dalot, he's wanting first team football. Like, he's made that very clear. I think he'll probably go to Milan. Probably better off, because I don't think, like, at his age, his development, I think he probably wants first team football and wants to kind of get better. So for me, he's probably better off elsewhere. Don't hold him against his will. Trippier, obviously, I said again, if it's a deal that can be done for a reasonable amount of money after we get the spine right, then yeah, bring him in. Well, I'm going to throw a spanner into the works here with this. I know Trippier and Dalot can offer something, but let's say both of them aren't an option. What about Heaton Laird to challenge Wan-Bissaka next season? He's fantastic for MK Dons. He's been fantastic for the 18s, 23s. And, he can defend, he can go forward. He can do a bit of both. So I think he's much more well-rounded than a Brandon Williams as well. Like, Brandon Williams looks like he could be on the way out as well this summer on loan. So
he needs a loan, King. He needs a loan. Brandon does. Absolutely.
Yeah, so for me, that's why I'm saying, let's see Heaton Laird. He proved a lot for MK Dons last season. And, again, when Heaton Laird was in the under-23s, they had to move Brandon Williams to left back because Heaton Laird took his place as the right back. So, again, maybe save a bit of money for the first team and let's promote youth. Let's do it our way. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, I'm glad you said about Heaton Laird. He looks like a very good youth talent. One of the most exciting ones in the last few years. Had a good 6 months, was it? A year at MK Dons.
Yeah.
They were really, really impressed with him. And as you're absolutely right, down to what we like to brag about, the identity and DNA, then, we should perhaps give him another chance. But I do think he probably needs another loan first. I think there's a lot of concern over his injury problems as well. And I think that, if he's going to be going out on loan, that will help sort of build up his stature and hopefully prevent those things. Just wanted to mention very quickly before I go on to the last topic, thanks everyone for coming in tonight. All the usuals, Jarvis, Jacob, Ugly Bear again, Fred, and all those sorts of people. So thanks very much for coming over. And those of you that aren't on YouTube, come over to youtube.com/AllForUnited and get your comments in. We want to hear those. Right, final topic. CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo. Had a storming game, pretty much. Got 2 goals. Is now the all-time European Cup leading scorer, and is obviously a phenomenal player. There's talks about him, that we've offered him potentially a £17 million contract. I don't know how true they are. Could be sort of like a bit of a swap with Pogba. Sorry. Again, don't know how true that is, but there is talks about it. But Cristiano, he was great. Obviously, 11 goals now. James, give me your thoughts on him and how wonderful he has been. It's always nice to talk about a past great.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of what could have been if he never wanted to go to Real Madrid, isn't it? We could be on 25 titles by now, never mind just 20. But yeah, I think he's without. I say without that, he's probably joint top in favourite players of all time. But I will say Messi's still probably better. But Ronaldo's very, very clear at second in terms of best of all time. He's a machine, isn't he? He's relentless, and the fact that he's modified his game so much. He's lost a yard of pace, can't be bombing up and down the wings anymore. And now he's gathered that sort of Cavani knack of knowing where to be in the box, knowing where the ball's going to fall, and his goal numbers aren't drying up anytime soon, are they? So it's clearly working. You know, to be putting in this level of performances at 36, you know, be 37 in it next February. It's ridiculous. You know, he should by all means be in the MLS or in China or somewhere like that, just lounging it about, getting a final pay packet. But you know, he's a machine. I think he could probably carry on doing this till he's 41, 42 sort of age, couldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He really is different gravy, as they say, and you know, I can't imagine this season him being amongst the Ballon d'Or unless he does an absolute madness with Portugal, gets them to the final again, and whatever else. But yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal. Hammer, would you take him back at United, or do you think we need to focus on other areas first?
Well, I wouldn't be lining up to get him as the first things that we need to deal with. You know what I'm saying? But and I don't know if I do a Pogba swap, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would. You know, we kept Cavani, and I understand what he's doing is great, and I think, you know, I know James said for him Messi's still the best, but I think where the conversation changes about that GOAT thing is when you get to international football, because Messi's done, as you guys would say, fuck all on international football. But Ronaldo has held his own and is at 37, still breaking records. So, you know, I think that's where the conversation changes. And in terms of going back to United, I can understand why people would want it. And I don't know if I got a little roped in earlier when people were talking about it, like earlier when the season was coming closer to an end. But I think with getting Cavani back, it would be an unnecessary thing, and it would be another year of Greenwood not getting the reps that I think we all want him to start getting at that number 9 position. So that is why I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, fair point, mate. In response to Stuart, hello, buddy. Good to see you again, buddy. I think, from what I understand, again, I don't have any inside knowledge, but I don't think he's been particularly happy in Turin and wants to look on. I think obviously wages could be a problem. I know that Juve aren't particularly doing the best when it comes to money, and I think that could possibly be an issue as well. But yeah, I don't think he's particularly had the greatest of seasons from a personal perspective. Carl, are you in agreement with everyone else? Obviously, one of the best players to ever grace football, let alone obviously with his contribution to the Euros today. Excellent player. Obviously, I've got some stats here in comparison to Messi, which I'll bring up in a moment. But internationally, 103 goals, 85 of those competitive, 18 friendlies, 9 hat-tricks, 10 free kicks, 11 penalties and 2 trophies. I mean, those stats are ridiculous, right?
Yeah, you know, he's all right. No, he's a decent player, is old Ronnie. But I mean, if we went back in for Ronaldo now, think about what you're going to spend on him, wages-wise and etc. So I think it'd just be a step backwards in the development of the team. That might sound absolutely mental, but I don't think you can afford to have an Edison Cavani and a Cristiano Ronaldo going into their like 30. Well, Ronaldo's well into his 30s. I think it should be a bit of a mentality-wise step backwards. Like we're trying to build this young, sort of hungry team, and then going to go and sign another older, sort of coming to the end of his career player. I think it's just a love story with United. Like, how many times has this happened now since probably the 3rd year after him playing for Madrid? Every summer we get linked with him because he's not happy or he's not doing this or people can't afford his wages and we're the only club in the world that have got the money to sign him. He loves Manchester. It's all the same stories. It's just like the media are churning out the same stories every single year. But listen, I love Ronaldo and I'd love to see him back. But is it a step backwards mentality wise? Is it a step backwards in sort of the Ollie's ethos in what he wants to try and gain from his time at Manchester United? It probably is, and I think people are probably going to look at me and go, "You don't know what you're on about, mate." But I don't know if anyone else agrees. But I just don't think it's the right move for Manchester United as a whole.
I totally agree. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Ollie is looking for a young, hungry team. You know, it's one of the lowest average ages for a long time. And I think we would be taking a step back. I think commercially, obviously, it would make sense. It would be an Ed Woodward Glazer type signing.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we had all those issues with Sanchez. You know, he came in on astronomical wages, really upset the apple cart. And I think that would be exactly what happens there. He's not going to sort of take a pay cut to come to us. It's one of those where it would be a wonderful romantic thing for him to come back and for him to end his career possibly at United. But I don't think it's the way that United should be looking. No. Stu, do you agree with that, buddy?
I do. I was asked this a couple of weeks ago, actually. I was asked about whether or not I felt he was the GOAT, to which I replied, it's generational talent is Ronaldo. You can't necessarily say he's the greatest of all time. You can put him up there with what you would consider to be one of the best players in the world, but not of all time. And it's generational. You know, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and there was some wonderful talent playing on awful pitches, playing with very heavy leather boots and very heavy leather footballs, but would probably, on a like-for-like talent basis, you know, be Ronaldo's equal in today. So, you know, if they were playing in today's game. So it's a very difficult one to say. And so, yes, he's up in the higher echelons of talent. Absolutely. He probably shades it for me over Messi, only due to the fact that he's played in 3 countries. Obviously, the Premier League, well, 4 countries if you include Portugal, obviously, but the Premier League, Spain and Italy. So I think he probably shades Messi by virtue of that. With regards to him coming back to the club, I'm kind of in agreement with the panel, really. No, it's not something you should revisit. There's an old saying, isn't there, never take an ex-girlfriend back, because it just isn't the same. And I just feel that, you know, Ronaldo would be something very, very similar. I don't think he'd necessarily upset the apple cart in terms of salary. I think for some of the younger players, it'd be a privilege to play and watch and learn from a player like Ronaldo, because we know, well, you can just tell by his physique, you can tell by the way he approaches the game even today. It's nothing any different to the way he approached the game. Once Ruud gave him a kick in on training that time, and he suddenly realised, I've got to grow up here. You know, I'm at the biggest club in world football, and I've suddenly got to grow up. And hence he went on his training regime. So I think from that point of view, if Ronaldo came back after he retired and could impart that wisdom into our younger generation of players, I think it'd be great for the club. But coming back now for any kind of romantic gesture, or I want to finish my career at Manchester United, I don't kind of buy, because, you know, why go to Juventus? Why not come back 3 years ago when he left Madrid? So I think he'll end up at PSG. I think PSG he'll pocket $500,000 at PSG or something along those lines. Or I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't end up at somewhere like Inter Miami under Beckham, someone like that. But
no, I think he'd go to LA.
LA, yeah, you're probably right, yeah. But yeah, for me, for me,
nice little jingle. Thank you for that.
I'm in agreement. with the rest of the lads. I wouldn't have him back. But as for the GOAT, you could argue that all day long, and we'd all have our own opinions as who are the greatest players ever. But there's been a raft of players before Ronaldo, and there'll be a raft of players after Ronaldo. It's just a continuous movement, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know what? I've had this discussion many, many times over the years with regards to him and Messi. You know, they're 2 very, very different players, both beautiful to watch. And I think we should just appreciate that we have had those 2 players for 15 or so years now and have been so dominant. It's really great to watch, and we should be privileged that we've been able to see them both.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, just in a quick comparison, again, I'm not trying to make a comparison, but Cristiano Ronaldo seems to turn up on the international stage and for club. And in comparison, Messi's only got 71 goals, 30 odd less, 37 competitive, 34 in friendlies, 6 hat-tricks, 6 free kicks, 16 penalties, and 0 trophies. Keane, on that basis, Ronaldo, is he the GOAT for you or someone else entirely?
Look, everyone knows I'm biased. Of course he is. Look, he done it on all different stages, like Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, internationally. Though Messi hasn't come out of that. Now, Messi is obviously a very talented player, brilliant footballer, can turn the game on its head. But look, Ronaldo's been there. He's done it. And the thing about it is with Ronaldo, he's had to work. He's had to work really hard for it. He's had to build himself up, build that physique. So he's really carried himself very well. And the fact he's 36 years of age and he's still doing it at the highest level speaks volumes. But again, everyone say it's a massive debate and you can be here all night talking about it. But when you look at achievements and you look at, he's done it in multiple different countries. He's done it internationally, So for me at the moment, I'd say Ronaldo is the GOAT. And look, I am biased, but look, I don't care.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I wasn't privileged enough to see prime Maradona, Pelé, George Best. So I think for me, Cristiano Ronaldo is probably one of the best players I've seen. And I'm proud that he was part of United growing up. Listen, anyway, thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Thanks for the comments. Great panel as always. Really appreciate you joining. And we've got a couple of shows. Obviously, we're doing a daily Euro show over the next few days, so please look at those around about midday. It normally is. We've got a couple more United shows, obviously, with the United women's side as well. Really good stuff going on there, so come and have a look at those too. But listen, as I said, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you again very soon.